I like Captain Jack Sparrow. Captain Jack. Why? Because no matter what he gets into, what's always in his pocket? A compass that sets the direction of where the black pearl needs to go. We also need a moral compass. Part of it is the values about how we were raised, whatever values that those were. But I think there are moral obligations in setting the tone for what you do. And I preach this to corporate America as well. Number one, always put people first in your decision making. Always. Not processes, people. 57% of all companies that have downsized due to the recession still have the same problems. But who pays for those problems? We have 15 million unemployed workers. They paid the price. Who is thinking of them? Let's look at ripples, foreclosure rates. You think a lot of those marriages are in trouble if you've been out of work for 2 or 3 years? You see that, and it can go on for years. Look, always put people first in decision making. Number two, respect individual dignity. You have a right to disagree with my behavior, but you have no right to take on my self-esteem. There's a difference between telling someone you are the dumbest thing next to the jackass, or normally you don't make these poor decisions, I wonder why you did it now. See the difference? My father, World War II veteran, on the GI Bill, went to Northwestern School of Engineering, finished in 3 years, mathematical genius. None of his kids have the gift. I can make change, tell you my phone number. But being firstborn, guess what I was supposed to become? Engineer. So he signs me up in high school for all of these advanced courses. Every night at the dinner table, hours working through math. He would get frustrated. He would look at my mother, your side of the family. We got the wrong kid at the hospital. And so my psyche says as a kid, someone who loves me very much knows I'm stupid, I guess he's right. So I fulfilled his expectations. D- is in math, A's in Latin, history, whatever. Second semester, senior in college, 2 credits short in math, only course opened, advanced calculus. I couldn't even spell it. I went into the prof's office and I said, you don't understand, I'm stupid. He said, there's no such thing as a stupid kid. We'll do it together. And I got an A. And when the report card got home, my father looked at it and he said, there is a God. And then I sat down with my father and I told him what he did to me. I had it all along and you didn't see it. And I know that you love me. And he cried and I cried and I vowed as a teacher never to equate a grade point average with a student's self-esteem. Never. 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 And the other reason is why I went into theology. As far from engineering as I could get. He knew nothing about philosophy and theology. I'm safe. But it's the process of how we respond to people's dignity. Number 3, treat everybody fairly. If there are rules, then everybody must play by the same rules. The president of the university down to the kid that just is getting into putting his bunk bed together in a couple of weeks in a dorm. Everybody plays by the same rules. Because if someone sees exceptions, remember, perceptions determine attitudes, attitudes determine behavior. And lastly, be honest. If you have a short memory, always tell the truth. Because if you tell one lie, then you got to do what? Got to tell another one because you forgot what you lied about in the first place. And invariably, I'll have some dim bulb after a talk, not in here, but in corporate, come up and say, well, it's only a little white lie compared to what? A big chartreuse? How does this work? Is it the truth or isn't it? Well, I really didn't. And isn't it amazing how we turn words around? Well, I really didn't give him all the information necessary to make the proper decision. You lied. Well, that's one way of looking at it. You keep those four in mind. And part of the moral compass is you need to know what your line in the sand is. And what I mean by that is what is negotiable, what's not negotiable in your job. What's acceptable, what isn't. And make those values very clear. I'm an amateur reader and historian of the Battle of the Alamo. I read everything I can find. Been there. I go there 10 times a year to speak. I always go to the Alamo. Anybody ever been to the Alamo? Anybody ever see the line, bronze line in front of the chapel? Well, William Barrett Travis told 189 men. There's 3,000 seasoned Mexican soldiers. On the other side of these walls, Fannon's not coming. Houston doesn't have an army. Myself and my soldiers, we stay. We will fight to the death. If you join us, cross the line. And you know the story. Crockett crossed. There was one 15-year-old from Illinois, Jonathan McClellan, arrived at the Alamo March 3rd, 1836. 15-year-old fighting at the Alamo and died there. Bowie had to be carried across because he was ill. As I reread that story, what goes through my mind is, why would you do that? Knowing you're never going to see your family again. Your kids, your wife, never going home. And you crossed that line. They knew what their values were before Travis even made that line in the sand. It was the same of Colonel Chamberlain at Little Round Top at Gettysburg. If the Confederate soldiers who charged up that hill turned his flank, Lee would win Gettysburg. He's out of ammunition. Chamberlain tells his soldiers, fix bayonets. We're charging down the hill against the Confederates. Why would you do that without ammunition, knowing full well the odds of you dying? Or of an army sergeant in Afghanistan who falls on a grenade to save his colleagues. Why would you do that? Hopefully none of our decisions are that dramatic, but it brings the point home. You need to know what your values are and what you believe before you are faced with a decision. Because if you wallow while you're making the decision, it won't be a good one. Make sense? Take time to reflect. What is your line? What won't you cross? Please take down these phrases. What's negotiable? What's not? What's acceptable? What's not? And make sure you're clear about your values. I also read a lot of Native American history. I think there's a lot to be learned about values and ethics from our ancestors before the Washishu, before the white man came. And as I read and do a lot on leadership, I use what Native American historians have pretty much agreed upon was the greatest Indian chief, leader, strategist, etc., was Tecumseh of the Ohio Valley Shawnee. And in 1808, Tecumseh decided to form a confederation to align the tribes to fight against the Washishu, the white man who was infringing on their land. So he went to the Illini, the Sauk, the Fox, the Potawatomi, the Ojibwe, the Ho-Chunk, and all tribes in between to put down your differences and come and fight. For the Washishu will kill your children. The Washishu will take your land. The Washishu will kill the buffalo. Come, fight. It was a year later, April the 9th, 1809, 2 days before the Battle of Tippecanoe, Indiana. Tecumseh gathers the warriors of all the tribes. And this was his prayer. Talk about ethics. So live your life so that the fear of death can never enter your heart. Trouble no one about his religion and respect your own. Love your life, perfect your life, beautify all things in your life, and seek to make your life long and of service to your people. Prepare a noble death song for the day when you go over the great divide. Always give a word or sign of salute when meeting or passing a friend or even a stranger if in a lonely place. Show respect to all people, but grovel to none. When you arise in the morning, give thanks for the light. Give thanks for your life. Give thanks for strength. Give thanks for your food and for the joy of living. And if you see no reason for giving thanks, then the fault lies in yourself. When your time comes to die, be not like those whose hearts are filled with the fear of death. So when their time comes, they weep and they pray for a little more time to live their lives over again in a different way. Live your life so that when you sing your death song, you will die like a hero who's going home with no shame to meet the Creator and your family. I wish you peace. I'll see you in the sessions later on today. Thank you very much.